welcome to Rob's car. $183,000 miles, but the speedometer is broken. So that's not quite accurate. In fact, you're gonna learn a lot about Rob's car in the next 15 minutes or so. So when we look at the engine, we see all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna tell you what I do know. I know this is a Nissan. I know it's a twin cam 16 valve. We've got all kinds of parts in here. I'm not gonna pretend that I know a whole lot about car engines. But I'm gonna tell you a few things that I did, a little research. One thing interesting about this Nissan Sentra SER, it's a 2.0 liter engine. That's absurd for this particular vehicle. The performance and the function of this vehicle does not need a 2.0 liter engine. That's more than enough. It's kind of like signing up Mike Tyson for a recreational league boxing tournament. It's just unfair. Let's take a look at some more parts. Here you see the battery. Plenty of juice. And here we have the K&N air filter. It's a cone model. Here we've got an easily accessible oil thing which is on securely. And here we have the damper adjustments for the coilover. So as you can see, this engine's been taken care of fairly well over the years. There are things that can be improved, but overall, I think this is a well-working engine. And considering it's been on the planet for nearly 25 years, I believe this engine is good to go. Okay, so let's take a look at the inside of the trunk of the SER. There's a lot of space in here. I was actually surprised when I first opened the trunk and realized that this space goes all the way back as far as I can reach. There's a lot more room than you would think in this trunk. Some of the limitations might be the sort of scope here that we have to actually get things in the trunk, but if you can, it goes pretty deep. There's a spare tire in the trunk and a trusty user's manual, which we'll take a look at in a second. So overall, nice trunk, nice interior. I think this is the sort of trunk you'd expect from Nissan. Here we have the Nissan Sentra original owner's manual from 92, 93 series. This has everything that you may need to know or want to know about the car itself, and this comes with the vehicle, so nice to have that. Okay, so we're looking at the back profile of the Nissan SER, and as you can see, it's a very simple, compact design. I'm going to step away for a second so you can get a better look. I like what Nissan's done with this. It's not trying to say too much. It doesn't pretend to be more than it is. But then if you look closely, there's some subtle nods to its performability and handling on the road, particularly involved with speed. We've got this nice tail fin that lets people know that it's a pretty serious thing. We've also got some safety situations here that are designed really well, particularly with the red, I think. There's some nice nuances here, but again, they didn't overdo it. One thing I'd like to point out, if you can see, the muffler itself has a nice cutout, giving it that little bit of prominence that the Nissan has, especially with that 2-liter engine. Okay, let's take a look at the front profile of the vehicle. As you can see, in the Nissan aesthetic, it's very compact, very balanced vehicle. So let's take a look at, we've got these side mirrors that come out and they're give it a nice balance. I think the key with this car is the symmetry and the sort of balance that we have going on here. I just love the sort of wingspan approach and the way that they've designed this car. Everything, you can split this car down the middle, and besides the muffler on the back, you've got two cars that are the same, split in half and then put back together. I know with some newer models of cars today, the engine capacity doesn't need so much space, so to speak, so this one tends to stick out. It has a European feel to me. And I'm not sure what you're interested in, but if you're interested in a car that'll get you where you need to go, and if you're driving towards somebody at any speed, really, they appreciate the look of that vehicle. This might be one that you're interested in, although there are other models that you might want to look at. Nissan. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the comfort of Rob's car. So here I am, getting ready for a trip to the local market or across the country. I'm not quite sure, but whatever it is, it feels pretty good sitting in this car. There's some options here. It's a clutch vehicle, so it's important that you have control and the length needed to get, so you're not grinding the clutch all day. But easy accessibility. Sometimes this is a comfortable position for people, not so much for me. Other people like to be a little further back, but this feels good. There's some nice holding zones here. I feel like I'm sitting in a catcher's mitt. We've got this situation here, which is useful in some way. You've got a more upright posture, which is probably better for you. But anyway, overall, I'd give this about a 7 to 8 out of 10 on driver comfort. Definitely something you want to test drive. Make sure you like it. Okay, so I'm in the back seat of the Nissan Sentra SER, and I have to say, I would probably call shotgun if I had a chance. But if I missed out and I'm sitting in the back, I'm gonna get there. Okay, it's not luxurious, it's not extremely comfortable, there's not a ton of leg room, but I would imagine there's more people in the car with me, so we would probably have a good time. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the interior of the vehicle. As you can see, there's a nice sort of a felt material that's happening here. It's in pretty good shape. This is probably the most used spot of the car, and that's where Rob's arm has been over the years. So it's a little worn down, but obviously very comfortable. So things look good, basic, you can get in and out. So one thing that I feel is missing is an armrest here when you're driving long distances. So Rob's car has a fully automatic sunroof. With a push of a button, you can close it. So a glove box is definitely within reach from the driver's seat. Classic opening. There you go. You've got room in here for things like your sunglasses, any other paraphernalia or things that you've got in your glove box. Good to have your insurance user's manual on hand at all times. If you ever get in an accident, do not admit guilt. It's one thing I've learned. Okay, the infotainment system in the Nissan, this 93 SEL, we're going to talk a little bit about. So you've got adjustments for air conditioning and heat, as you can see. Note, the air conditioning does not work in this particular vehicle, but the model did supply the options. The infotainment system here is not what you would find in current models of vehicles. There's a classic kind of CD situation. There's an auxiliary and the power button. However, this also does not work in this particular vehicle. We've got a button for the fog lamps and hazards, so if you're parking or need the hazards in any way, and defrost. So this button right here doesn't do anything, but it gives an aesthetic balance to the vehicle. Alright, so we've got a 5-speed clutch. For some of you, it might take a little practice or learning to use the clutch, but For a lot of us that lived through clutch days, this is a classic. It's got a nice grip. Nothing fancy, nothing overly designed, but you definitely have a feel for the clutch. 5-speed, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This thing will get you where you need to go in a hurry. So the car's got a very handy e-brake. This is great for very easily putting the car in this position. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the ignition. It is exposed at this point so that you can start the car. Key goes in and turn. You got to have the clutch in, first gear, push as hard as you can. As you can see, sometimes the car starts. Other times, there's a little trick that you need to do, which we'll talk about in 1 second. When the car does not start, all you need to do is kind of put your thumb on this cylinder, push it forward in a way that kind of hot wires the vehicle. And then you're ready to go. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the outside of the car and the inside of the car. Well, let's put this to the test and give it a little road test. Here we go. I haven't driven a clutch in a while, so bear with me. Let's see what we got. Fuck. Alright, so we're doing a road test, and things feel pretty good. I'm shifting and getting into the other gears. With the vehicles that I'm used to driving, I'm a little higher up, but definitely being low to the ground like this feels pretty good, I have to say. I'm enjoying this. I'm in 4th gear and I'm going 25 miles an hour, so that's not correct, but so giving a nice turn, and things are feeling pretty good. Let's go down. So one thing you'll notice when you're driving this car is that there's some squishing and rumbling, and I think that's normal for a car from early 90s. It's been taken care of pretty well. In those ways, I feel like I'm in control of the vehicle. I feel safe as I can be. One thing to note, this car does not have airbags. It is not up to our current norms, let's call it, of safety. But then again, this is a throwback vehicle and one that an enthusiast would love to kind of rebuild and drive. Going over some railroad tracks. Visibility, I would give about a 9.5 out of 10. I can see pretty much everything around me. I don't have any noticeable blind spots. But then again, if I notice the blind spot, it may not technically be a blind spot. But I don't see them, so I'm going. So as we're at a stop right now, I can talk a little bit about the overall feel of the vehicle. I definitely am comfortable for the type of driving experience that I want to have right now. I'm a little warm. It's about 90 degrees outside, but about 110 right now in here. So I'm gonna unroll the window, kick it into 3rd gear, and enjoy myself a little bit. Okay, you can pause in between stops. Ready? Okay, let's do a horn test. See what kind of sound we get when we need to. Okay, here we go. The horns are on the side here. Alright, so nice. It works like a kind of friendly horn. Alright, so we've driven the car on some fast roads, we've gone on some neighborhood roads and some institutional roads. So next step, we're going to take it off-road just a little bit and get a feel for the vehicle on not so pleasant terrain. So things seem to be going okay on this terrain. I feel comfortable. It's definitely bumpy, and I'm aware of the ground. I don't know if I'd like to drive across country in this kind of terrain, but if I get stuck and in this situation, I feel pretty confident I can get out of it. Get back on some roads that are more manicured for my liking. But all in all, it's okay. I'd give this a 5-6 on off-road, considering it's the function of this vehicle design. Good. I haven't noticed any softness with the brakes. They seem pretty responsive to me. But we're gonna give it a shot here. I'm going probably about 25 miles an hour right now, and there's a car and I have to brake. Good. Yeah, see, so that worked out pretty well, and that was real life braking right there. And I feel like I'm in total control. Kind of owning the road right now. Blinker on.